as part of Hannah Hart's Walking Book Club, which I had never been a part of before, and decided now is a great time because the book that we are reviewing, The 5 People You Meet in Heaven, is something I had planned to read for a very long time but never gotten around to. So as part of the Walking Book Club, I downloaded it free from Audible, which was great. So I got distracted from the audiobook for maybe a month because something happened. And it really was life-changing to me. So I just had to, deal with that for a month, and you really, feel that. And it's quite personal to me. But I'm going to share it with you. So what happened was this. I'm sorry, it's an emotional moment. I couldn't listen to this book for a month because I was just really involved and distracted in this personal matter. Because, I'm sorry, but she released a complete surprise album, and who am I to not listen to that for months without listening to anything else for months? So there was a long break from which I did not listen to any of this book. So Beyoncé, man, come on, right? But once I moved on from that, I went back and continued listening to the book, and it was great. The book is basically about an old man called Eddie, who works at Ruby Pier, which is a fictional, I think, fun fair, amusement thing. And he dies. And he goes to heaven, and there are 5 people he meets in heaven, and each person teaches him a lesson. That sounds very violent. Each person shares some piece of wisdom with him. And one thing I liked about the audiobook was that it was read by the author. What's his name? I don't know. I can't remember. Mitch Albom. That's it, Mitch Albom. There you go. See, a wealth of knowledge. I like it when authors read the books because you hear how they intended the characters to sound. He had a very particular voice for Eddie, which I thought was kind of interesting and quite good impression. Now, I'd wanted to read this for a long time because this is going to sound weird, but I'm really interested by death. Okay. It's just a subject which I find fascinating, especially how each individual person interprets what happens after you die. Oh, another thing I liked about the audiobook was that there was music in the background. I don't know, it was nice. I just like music. Who am I? The end I thought was really lovely, for lack of a better word. He was reunited with his wife, Marguerite, properly, because he had met, she was one of the 5 people he met in heaven, but then he was properly reunited with her, which was nice. I don't know what point I'm trying to make here. I just liked that. It was cute. He was on the fun fair. He was on the Ferris wheel with her at the end, and it was really cute. One of the most important lessons I thought from the 5 people that Eddie meets was sort of the lesson he learned from his absent father. Was that his father during his life was never there for him. He did not have a good relationship with his dad whatsoever. But the lesson he learned when he was in heaven from that was holding on to anger is poisonous. The harm we do to people, we do to ourselves. You have to learn to forgive. That's the most important lesson, I think, from the lessons that he learned from the 5 people. One of them is forgiveness. And that none of us are born angry. None of us are born hating people or specific, none of us are born with, homophobia, racism. They're things we learn. It's not part of our genetic makeup that, we're born hating people for the way they look or for their ideals. Or for, if they're abandoning you as a parent. You automatically and instinctively love your parents when you're born. It's just the way the world works. So the anger you have towards specific people for things they've done to you or things you believe they've done to you is learned. Because while they may have hurt you, it will hurt more if you don't forgive them and you hold on to that anger and that hatred for your whole life. Because that will tear you up from the inside. It's poisonous. So I think that's something Eddie had to learn in the story, was that he had to forgive his father for not being there for him. And I think he did. Another important message I thought of the book was you can still love somebody even after they've died. And we saw this with Eddie and his wife who died. He still loved her every day even though she wasn't there. That reminds me of the Beyoncé song EXO, when she says, "Your love is bright as ever, even in the shadows." And the EXO video takes place in a fun fair. Oh my god, we have just come full circle back to Beyoncé. Mind blown. Oh my god, everything is Beyoncé. What? Also, that song by Beyoncé is kind of about this as well. It's about life being short and, you know, trying to appreciate every moment that you have because you never know when your life's going to end. Wow. So you have to take advantage of the time that you have, and that even when it does end, you still left a lasting mark on the people that you've met and the people that have loved you. And you can still love people once they're gone. They've meant something to you and they've changed a part of you. And just because they're gone, it doesn't mean that bit gets unchanged. I think really the most important point of this book is something the author said at the end, because there was an interview with the author at the end of the audiobook, which was when he said that everybody matters and there's no such thing as a nobody. There's a Gandhi quote which I think is quite relevant, which is something like, what you do in life is unimportant in the grand scheme of things, but it's still very important that you do it. Not everyone is going to make such a huge impression on the world that like people like Nelson Mandela left a lasting impression on the world. Not everyone is going to be able to achieve things like that, but it's still important that you do what you do. It's not about what you do, it's about the people you affect in life and the people that you meet and the people that are made better because you were there. I just think that's a really important message from this book. Because Eddie didn't change the world. He didn't save thousands of people's lives. He didn't invent anything. He didn't come up with a cure for a disease. But his life still meant something. There are people in the world that were affected because he was alive and because of the things he did. We affect people all the time without even realising it. Sometimes you can save someone's life just by sending them a message. I see it all the time on Tumblr, people threatening suicide because they think no one cares and they think no one is gonna notice if they're gone. And I don't know if they're being serious, but I take it seriously. So if I ever see that, I will message them and say, I don't know you, but I would care if you killed yourself, and you shouldn't, because you matter. You're not a nobody. There's no such thing. And there were a few quotes from this that I had to like write down because I was like, these are great. One of them was, it's never hard to act ordinary if you feel ordinary. I agree. You can't just think, I'm plain, I'm boring, there's nothing interesting about me, because if you think that, then you will be right and nothing will happen to you out of the ordinary. And one of the last quotes of the book, which I thought was, it sort of summed up what the author was trying to say, I guess what his opinion of heaven was, is that the secret of heaven is that each affects the other and the other affects the next, and the world is full of stories, but the stories are all one. Which I agree with. This is just something I believe to be true, in that we are all independent, individual people with our own stories, our own lives, and our own experiences. Through the people we meet and the people we touch and the people we love and the people we hate, we are all connected in some way. When it comes down to it, it's just one big, big picture of all these little strands. It's like a tapestry, all these people intertwined, and all these stories, and they're all just come together to make this one big picture. When you die, it's just like another thread in the tapestry. Why am I making this into a metaphor? I think I feel really hipster with this scarf on or something. I think I'm thinking I'm sort of like an English literature professor. Because, you know, scarf. That's the end of my weird, mixed up thoughts on the 5 people we meet in heaven. And I've got to say, I enjoyed very much being part of this walking book club. I didn't walk anywhere. while listening to it. It was more like a lying book club for me. As in lying down, not telling lies. Oh, one more thing. If you want to like maybe just watch this video, especially, you know, Hannah Hart, if you're watching, just watch this video and, you know, think about what's going on in this video and, you know, thoughts and possibly ideas and possible visiting and cooking in places. You know what I'm saying here? You get the message. I think you get the message. Shameless plug, shameless plug, shameless plug. The world was built on shameless plugs, okay? I pride myself on my shameless plugs. Shameless and proud. Loud and proud. And shameless. And plugging this video. Bye! Well, that was dreadful.